they could have taken. So even on red side, once again, like in that game against Brazil, I would be fine if they just picked up Jax again.
Yeah, certainly agree with that. And, you know, there was a little bit of a mismatch there. Like, do you rush the Rage Blade that is so strong right now? Do you still want Trinity Force? I think against Malphite, you kind of have to go Trinity Force. But after that, it should have been nearly immediately progressed into the build.
Well, I disagree a little bit because against the Malphite, you need the mixed damage. You go Sheen right there, you only have AD, and it's like, okay, cool, man, I'll just go armor. And then he just stood there and was a rock.
In theory, we'll see how it pans out. The Malphite was a decent counter to those Rage Blade users. We've heard Rammus is pretty good. But if you look at how OPL have pinched the jungle pool, if Latam don't ban the likes of Elise or Rek'Sai, then Carbon's going to get his hands on one of those comfort picks. But what are we missing? Mundo's still up as well. That was a big pick from yesterday.
Kindred's still a thing.
Kindred, I'm less impressed with. We've seen Kindred, I believe, twice now in the 5v5 tournament, and both times didn't really have a very big impact in the early game. So
apparently you just got to give it to your mid laner. The way the 1v1 tournament's going, apparently just give Kindred to the mid laners.
Apparently,
they play it well.
We even saw it in Ultimate Bravery, man. You just give that Kindred, give them a solo lane, and they'll go to town. Last ban was Mundo, so we're not going to be seeing that one this game. And I'm really interested in what the priority is going to be, because we saw some very interesting first picks. Saw Alistair come out, which was surprising to me. Actually went ham and went 0-1-26, so actually did really well. And then the Rek'Sai as well was the other first pick that we saw, so Oceania could pull literally anything out of the bag.
I think the safe pick, or the safe bet, would to get the jungler that you want the most, wait for Latam to reveal something a little bit more maybe, and then lock that in, because there's still a lot of picks that you can run. You know, yesterday's Radia, he tried the Vayne. I don't think it was terrible, but unfortunately the team was too far behind for it to actually have any sort of impact against that Dr. Mundo. So, you know, Oceania have got a lot of options available to them. It's not going to be the junglers I thought in the Lee Sin, but a similar strategy. Fairly safe, you're not revealing anything.
So this is the jungler that Carbon goes to when he feels like he needs to win games. We saw it in the OPL finals against the Chiefs when they were able to steal a victory. Does like to get some early playmaking going, and this just means that he wants to be very active around the map, and that's one thing that we often criticize his Elise for. He plays it more as a control jungler, whereas you see someone like Revolta pick it up and invade and go very, very aggressive with it. That's what Carbon's Lee Sin is. Look for him to be active on the map.
So Latam in their 2 games have prioritized support or jungle primarily. It was Alistair yesterday as well against CIS. That's been locked in. They also returned to the Jax, like you said, Pulse.
Yeah, honestly, I like it. If they just swap up the itemization, also the change will be whether OPL even pick Malphite to contain or bring something to challenge the Jax. And that really is the question that he's answering for me as Oceania pick up the rest of their picks.
And if you step back and you look at the matchups today, we got 7 of these 5v5s. Now we need to see which team has developed some synergy yesterday, has talked strategy, has started to adapt and grow. Because yesterday, Helior was not utilized as well as I feel he could have been on that Jax. There were times where he split push, but it was inconsistent. The warding wasn't backing it up. So I want to see Latam make better use of the tools Jax has in its kit.
Oh, and Oceania has done it again. They've gone back to a tank top lane with the Morgana. I really don't think that this is their best composition. The reason being is Ryu is just such a good threat around the map when you are able to get him rolling. You know, we talk about his rise a lot. That, of course, has seen ban after ban, but also has a really good Renekton, and that is a successful matchup against the Jax. So get him set up for success. Now he's going to be on a big tank, and pressure's on Carbon. If Carbon doesn't win that lane for him, Ryu, sure, he'll scale, but the Jax will do so at the same pace.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, Spawn. And the fact that he has Renekton in his champion pool, why not just pick that up here? Either way, we'll see how OPL run this, because if they do contain the Jax, they contain that big threat, and as soon as he spikes, that's where the problem comes. But if they can keep on top of him, maybe they can make it work. Waiting on the next 2 picks coming in from Latam, and not revealing too much at the start. It's going to be the Vayne once again, though.
Based on what we saw yesterday from Oceania, and then the question, if they can contain the Jax, I'm already worried for this Oceanic squad. Latam do steal away the Vayne from Radia, so one more of those dueling split push counters or strengths. Tristan is still up. Cogmore is still up. If Oceania want to try that one again.
Latam's lineup is honestly petrifying right now. They have a fantastic lane swap. There's no way Malphite can deal with the Vayne in the early game, even if they 1v1 the lane. Alistair Jax, if you throw an Elise on the map, has a lot of kill potential if they take in a mobile carry here in the bottom lane for the Oceanic lineup. And honestly, as long as they pick Seiya a winning lane, from what we've seen of his play, especially on the Riven, he looks very impressive. So right now, the Latin America draft has like completely blown the Oceanic lineup out of the water.
And we're also seeing adaptation from the first time they tried it, because they picked up the Evelyn, you remember, last time with the Jax. I was like, oh, they're going to snowball that lane, and then didn't really do anything with the pick. Now with Elise, you've got very clear goals, and I love this coming in from Latam. Just have to see what rounds it out. Oceania, meanwhile, are taking all the time to pick up their picks. Really, is this going to happen? Kog'Maw gets locked in, and the Yasuo as well.
Yeah, blind pick Yasuo. So it's something that Choose is very famous for. He's a very good farming, split pushing Yasuo, so expect him to play kind of a G4-esque role on that champion. And we'll see with, once again, a lot of knockups coming out of the Oceanic region, whether they can get that mid laner going, because otherwise it doesn't really look like they have much to do. And Jax is pretty good at answering split pushes.
And I still feel, if you look at this team comp, if you want to build around a Kog'Maw that needs to stand still
he needs a Lulu
and find targets, he needs protection. He needs more options to kite. Lulu's up and available. You know, you talked about the hyper carries, Kog'Maw or Juggernaut comps, and we're just not seeing it.
This is the eggs in two basket composition, where it's just like, well, we have Kog'Maw, but if this doesn't work, we've got Yasuo as well.
It's just not good is what it is. On the other side of the rift, I would be super excited if we saw this. Kennen is something that Faker actually played a lot in solo queue when Yasuo was really making his resurgence, and it was a pick that was credited to why people were scared to pick Yasuo into SKT when Braum Yasuo was such a popular comp. So we'll see whether Seiya can take that into the mid lane and really make the Yasuo's life hell, because it's not fun to play that 1v1 matchup.
And again, more tools in the Latam team composition that's going to allow them to counter Oceania. If Lee Sin, Malphite, and Yasuo do jump into the fight, Seiya is able to hourglass what is a fairly telegraphed ability. You can just pop down that Thundering Maelstrom. Any follow-up will allow the entire Oceania squad to get, honestly, just locked in, and Jax and Vayne can just jump on whoever they want. For a team that had great target selection yesterday and great ability to kill priorities, they've got another comp to do a similar story.
Yeah, and I was going to talk about it earlier. Choose does play Azir, and when you're going to go a Kog'Maw, even if you want a split threat comp, pick Azir because he can shove the Alistar and Jax off. Now that Kennen's in the mix-up, like, Azir would have been a much better pick than what this Yasuo is going to bring to the table. Now, even if Elliot does fall behind and he needs to stay with the team, Kog'Maw, Kennen, you just cannot dive. Like, he won't be able to take turrets. He's not going to be able to do enough around the map.
Yeah, a little bit hindsight 2020 coming into this champion select, but I don't think anyone can deny Latam definitely got the better of this one. But I do feel like the peak team fight, like if OPL do pick up the perfect team fight, you get all the knockups, you get the Yasuo combo, Kog'Maw managed to sit down, literally just spam out those autos. The perfect scenario is higher than that of Latam's, but it's so difficult to pull off. That's the problem.
And in my opinion, that team comp of Latam has simply just got more ways to win. So yes, if OPL get the perfect conditions and the game goes long enough, one wombo combo will win you the game. But they need to wait for all, they need to get all that setup, get the vision, and they need Latam to make a mistake in group. So, you know, there's no margin for error if you're an Oceanic fan. Down 0-2, they need to start picking up wins if they want to challenge, get enough points to make it to Los Angeles.
It's got to be pinpoint accuracy in from the OPL squad as we load into the game. Latam are going to be on the red side. And it is going to be that Kennen and Yasuo mid lane. And you were talking about this before, Spawn. That's not a fun matchup for Yasuo. You get the electrical surge down. It's like, well, win more this, buddy.
Yeah, and the other thing is, as soon as he engages on you, it's a very telegraphed knockup. Your E just adds so much resistances to Kennen's kit. Pop the ultimate, he's trapped inside there, gets the auto stun off. So honestly, this is a very favorable matchup for Kennen. We'll see if it does play out that way. But I think you actually nailed it, Quickshot. If Oceania gets vision control, if they make the Latam lineup walk into them, they do have some tools in the Morgana, in the Malphite to be able to catch people out, and then very quick objective control. Yasuo, you've got a Lee Sin as well as a Kog'Maw. They can start shredding through these neutrals and turrets and maybe get that snowball rolling.
I'd like to see Latam make use of the Jax and Vayne in the side lanes. The one thing that Latam lack a whole lot, in a similar vein for OPL, is wave clear. Both of these teams do not want to get caught underneath their turrets, and Latam never want to be in a sieging scenario where a flank from a Lee Sin or a Malphite can absolutely obliterate them. So I'm not expecting standoffs at towers, but I'd like to see Latam play the side lanes with that Jax, with that Vayne, once they get an item or two.
And this is the second time we've seen a Yasuo take Q level 1. And this is like absolutely mind-boggling to me. because Q, it's a much better distance farming, but you pretty much cede all control of the lane, and there is no way you can go aggressive with it. And that's something that Choose is very well known for, getting that level 3, taking 2 points in his E, and just being able to put out a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, from here, he should start maxing E, and I'd be surprised if he doesn't do that. That is pretty much the only way to go now as Yasuo. But he is actually getting a decent amount of harass down, and at that level 2, he is able to control that minion wave. He set it up very nicely, leaving those caster minions alive so he could get the autos down. So it actually didn't end up too badly for him, so I guess Choo Choo's knew something we didn't.
Apparently, I'm going to ask him about it. It's twice I've seen it, and it's just really weird. But it looks like Elliot is also trying to get control of the top lane. That's the one that really scares me, because if he shoves in early, Malphite very mana intensive, you have this window as a jungler that if you do not visit there early, he just goes trying to farm up the minion wave and then cannot follow up your gank through the creep wave, especially when there's an Elise there to counter gank. So Carbon really needs to get busy up in that top side of the map.
Well, both junglers are in the top quadrant. Carbon is clearing out his blue buff. You can see Thiak is just sitting there towards his Krugs, so he will also make his way theoretically top, but I still think Ryo's relatively comfortable. That Siege Minion is going to slow the push down somewhat, and he's still got a large number of tools to play. Thiak first in lane, and Carbon's coming mid.
Yeah, I think he may actually just go counter jungle or go the long way around to the backside of that top lane. I actually really like what Firex doing. He goes through that lane, gets a little bit of damage onto Ryu. Actually even burns the flash from Malphite. Not entirely sure if that was needed, but still playing it on the side of caution. But that's given such a huge advantage to the Jack.
Carbon was just too late. Like, that's inexcusable to walk the long way around the lane, especially if you think the gank is going to come. Just counter gank it through the lane.
And now the 1v1's happening in the jungle. Fire just kind of caught with his pants down. Carbon is going to chase after here. Choo Choo's rotating from the mid lane, ticking down from the ignite. Fire should be good to go. That was single digits on Fayak, and he will be limping away back to base, but he didn't die, so, you know, ball's in his court.
Wow, that was so close. Carbon almost makes that work, and I don't really know how well these Oceanic players will handle the pressure. Down 0-2 in the tournament. Top laner burns flash. Carbon almost gets first blood. Maybe that's what Tilt is made of.
Not for players like Carbon. One thing I will say about Carbon, he's actually a very level-headed player. He's a shot caller for his team. Legacy does a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff as well. So expect him to stay level-headed. I'll say might be caught out a little bit here.
Radio's getting a lot of auto attacks down. This is a combo that can work well. If a Dark Binding hits, the Bioarcane Barrage from Radia's Cogmore can then just really lay the hurt down. But they got to get on the right target. And ironically, in this case, it probably is Alistair, because he'll just interrupt with a headbutt pulverize. So
but the other thing about Morgana is if you sit back and play defensive, it's very hard for Alistair Vayne to ever go aggressive because of the Black Shield. Both champions don't swap targets well. Once you commit on a target, you're pretty much in on that target. So as long as Ejim is on point, it should be at least a safe farming lane where Cogmore should have the range advantage.
Yeah, just trying to get that Cogmore to a stage where he can actually start itemizing.
Rage Blade.
What he's gonna like, it has to be Rage Blade, right? Like, I honestly don't feel like the crit build is that strong on Cogmore nowadays. With the 55% on W, you just go on hit and you start shredding people.
Yeah, 100% agree. As long as you get anything that has on hit as well as a little bit of mixed damage, it's very hard to itemize against Cogmore, but then it's just about how you can position in the team fight. You know, we gave a little bit more execute to the ultimate as well, so your chasing ability is pretty still far up there, but execution is just the aim of the game, and it's proven very hard to do so far.
And Helior in the same matchup yesterday, Jax v Malf, has started off with a pickaxe first item. So maybe you're going to move away from that Trinity Force first, then Rage Blade, and maybe go the pulsified route of Rage Blade first anything.
Yep,
seems to be working in solo queue. Can confirm, Pulse has carried me in many a game.
No, I really like it specifically in this matchup, and I love it that Helio has adapted from yesterday's games and realized that he needed the mixed damage earlier to hit that spike so he can break the containment system that is Malphite.
And I think that's so important to talk about, because this is the first sort of, you know, let's call it high priority tournament on 522, where all of these international players are there. Choo Choo's is going to get dunked down. Thiak is chasing. There's no flash though, and a defensive flash from Choo Choo's pays out. Thiak just a tad early. Now Radia's in trouble.
Yeah, bot lane trade going on, and White Lotus looking for the more autos, getting those silver bolts down, but the Void Dudes will keep him in place, allow Radia to get out of there. Was not quite in range for the final tumble auto attack, but still, advantage goes over to the Latam side.
Yeah, it certainly does, and that's exactly what I was speaking about in the mid lane. Seiya, every time Choose goes aggressive, it's just going to be able to pull the trigger, and then anytime before that, the auto attack harass comes out, and that's exactly what it's like playing melee into a cannon.
Yeah, really frustrating.
Extremely painful.
And to go back to that point, it's just like learning to adapt, right? All of these players are playing these champions against players and teams they've never competed against and don't have first-hand experience on the preseason, on this style. And you have to adapt and learn and figure it out.
Yeah.
Donk.
Important to note that Radier is also still maxing W. A lot of the Cogmores I've seen at least put a couple of extra points in the E to help out with some of the aggression that Alistair brings into lane. You get the slow going, and then you just farm safely because you're not looking to win a lane as Cogmore anyway, just break even on farm. So that is something that we have to keep an eye on because sure, he'll spike much earlier if they do get an early team fight because he'll have max W, but might not be able to lane so successfully after maybe the level 7 mark.
Yeah, I agree. I think the goals are very clear for the OPL lineup though. They're like, we're not really looking for lane. We're really just looking for those fights, making our composition work and not being so selfish in that build, but not sure if it will pan out. We'll have to see as the game progresses.
And the thing is, this laning phase is dead even. Completely standard, completely close CS in every single lane. I like the scaling on the Latam squad. I like the tools they have available to them. So yes, as long as Latam do not group for a perfect wombo combo, I think this somewhat favors Latam because I think Radier does not have enough tools to truly just stand, become a living turret, and spit out 5,000 attacks a minute. So, you know, I don't think this is terrible. We're approaching 10 minutes. No real tower pressure, no dragon pressure or herald, because no lane is really being pushed. So,
yeah, I mean, literally just looping back to the conversation we were having earlier, it's so difficult for OPL to execute their composition perfectly. And we will reach a point in the game where they will need to do that. And if Latam position correctly and play well, that's just simply not going to happen. Latam have to position in a way that OPL can capitalize on.
Yeah, it certainly is going to turn into a decision-making game. Do the OPL want to split push? Are they more happy to group up and try and use this wombo combo? Here they go.
Well, Carbon's going to go for the fight in the mid lane. Kicks Seiya away, so Choo-Choo doesn't get the stun down, but goes back into it. Helios now in the fight. Bonk! And that's first blood going over to Seiya.
And they really need to learn that you cannot gank cannon with 2 melee champions. You just cannot get the ultimate off. It's an instant stun as soon as you get in that slicing maelstrom. And Seiya once again turns it around solo. Elior comes in for some support.
Yeah, 1 versus 2. It literally doesn't matter to a cannon. You can have 5 members there. He'll stun everybody. As Electrical Surge now does stun everyone around that radius, and quite good, apparently, as we just saw in the middle lane. Choo-Choo's has his work cut out for him, is going for the Zeal first, which is pretty common. Getting those crits out, double crit from the passive.
you can see the first Rage Blade picked up here by Radier in the bottom lane. Helios should have roughly enough gold in a few CS time to pick up his as well. And I want to see how he's going to handle that top lane against Ryu once he completes the itemization, because yesterday, going up against the Brazilian top lane, it just simply didn't work out. He did not get far enough ahead of that Trinity Force in the early stages of the game to have an impact. And despite Seiya's great work on Lissandra, it simply was not enough.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't, and I honestly, once again, I'm just going to go back to Carver's jungling here. I think he's picked the wrong lane to try and camp out, because Jax is starting to get going right now, and they're even pulling Ejim into Seiya's lane, trying to shut it down. But when you have this free farming Jax top lane, as we said, Malphite is fantastic late game, but if Jax can get his items early, will just pose much more of a threat.
Bot lane, gonna throw out the Voidoos, get a couple of autos onto White Lotus, but it's not gonna be too much at this stage in the game. He needs those stacks as he has managed to get that down, and the ultimate is up once again from Kennen, and that just results in a second kill. Seiya does have the Q locked onto him from Carbon, and that will be the shutdown coming in from Ryu. That kill will go a long way to containing Jax.
Especially because he's got double buffs now. He used his teleport for an aggressive play. He will lose some CS, but look at the minion wave. It's pushing so heavily towards Ryu, so that is a great swing, and could give Ryu all the momentum he needs to at least buy time to get tanky enough to fend off this Jax.
Yeah, not done yet.
Oh, the flash into the pulverize and the knock-up onto Radier, but Arce is going to get CC'd up here with the Unbreakable Will. Carbon does not lock on the damage, and White Lotus, the damage coming through, the dodges as well, the moves. He should be able to get at least one kill here. He deserves it with the mechanics he's throwing out, and the Q lands from Carbon. Do it! Go in!
Nah, won't decide to. In the end, it is a very good turnaround play. And once again, they're looking at Choo Choo's lane. Thyak still not done here.
Thyak looking for this gank. Real sneaky. Coming in from the side. The flash comes out early and still dodges the cocoon. That could have been a potential misstep with that flash coming out. White Lotus gets hit by the binding and in tower range as well. The raining barrage comes in from the Cogmore. And Arce, remember, he doesn't have ultimate. He's still being chased down. One auto lands. The flash comes through from Radier as well. Carbon lands the Q. Tries going for the kill. But the heal comes out from White Lotus. The outplay from Latam.
OPL, that is what Tilt is made of, quick shot right there. That was such a good play out of White Lotus, able to bait them into the last moment. And you can see maybe the start of some frustration. He follows the Q this time after stunning up White Lotus under turret, but just wasn't meant to be.
My mind's telling me no, but my KDA is also telling me no.
Everything told him no.
You're definitely not a songwriter there, my friend Pulse.
No.
Good attempt. I give you props for that. Choo Choo goes back to kill out the camp and actually dodges the cocoon, but while he's farming the jungle, Saya just takes the second tower in favor of Latam. That's a top and middle that has now fallen back to back. A 2,500 gold lead. They've got a kill lead. They've got map control. And
they're
it's just looking great.
Shove it out as well, so there's no potential freeze that Choose can hold here with his wind wall, try and get Carbon into the lane. That's a double buff Malphite, by the way, that was still getting repetitively pushed into turret.
So Rage Blade's the correct first item into Malphite then?
Apparently.
Well, you didn't watch the interactions very closely, but telling tale with the tower going down. And the fact that Helio is just continuing to shove it in.
I mean, there's just not enough for Malphite to do. Like, he itemizes one item, he goes for the Sunfire, actually going to hold that for a second because the damage coming out from Cogmore, and that is the power of Rage Blade, ladies and gentlemen. And Arce tries to get away, but he is just going lamb to the slaughter. The CC lands, and the Living Artillery does as well for the double kill coming in from Radier.
And now maybe they open up a win condition because Cogmore's going to be able to shred through this turret, position himself somewhere on the map, and Radier has picked up 2 kills. Choose Egypt? That was weird.
Ooh, a little bit brave there. But you can see the power. The length of that dark binding route bought all of the time that Radier needed. He was out of range. He was safe. Black Shield meant that Alistair could knock him up and get interrupted. And White Lotus got melted by that Cogmore. So Dragon number 1 will go uncontested to the OPL squad. They've closed the gold lead. And Cogmore sitting on a lot of gold. I don't think they can contest this Rift Herald. 1,600 gold for Radier next time he goes back. But Helio, with his advantage, with his itemization, now also has the Rift Herald buff.
There was the tiniest of windows for OPL to come back into this game, and they opened it wide open. That play from Egypt, pretty much, opening it up for them, allowing Radier to get those 2 kills is such a big deal. Now they have something to play around. Helio, yes, he's huge. Yes, he's probably able to outtrade the Ryu at this stage in the game. But as long as Radier is able to go into team fights, they actually have something in their arsenal to use against the Latam team.
Yeah, the thing I am so worried about, though, is the fact that there is a 1,300 gold lead. Wow.
This is not a fight you want, Carbon. And yeah, he's going to kick him away there.
That's that book I was talking about. I don't know what he's reading right now.
Now, Carbon is the same level as the supports in game right now. He's tied 58 CS to 58 CS, but that Lee Sin early game impact, the opportunities that were available have not showed off. He committed to trying to camp for Choo Choo's, tried to get Yasuo ahead, and multiple attempts did not work.
But how different would this game look if Carbon had picked up that first kill onto Thyak? If those extra couple points of HP had gone down, how different would this game look? Because he would have gone from lane to lane, had that power spike, hit items earlier. This game would have cascaded out of control, but it was Latam who managed to survive and picked up those kills. And after those 2 turrets, I thought the game was done so.
Well, so did I. Unfortunately for Latam.
That is 4 members heading top lane for Latin America. Say going to be able to get in here.
Saya's looking forward. The flash engage. The Black Shield will buy some time, but not enough. Because here comes Arce. He's knocked up Radiant, taking him down. Ikafian Surprise will give a gentle love tap to Thyak. And Latam get themselves 3 kills. A tower down bottom a few moments before, and maybe an inner turret top.
But Ryu actually picked up White Lotus on the other side of the map as all of this is happening. Latin America will be able to push through here, secure themselves another turret.
Turrets and turrets are literally made of paper. Like, they will take this turret, and they may even push for the next one. What's the death time is? Okay, couple seconds left. They'll take this opportunity to retreat. Gonna see that engage once again.
Yeah, and that's just great layering of CC. Say goes in first. This is how White Lotus...
Why on earth was he there?
Vein spotting, boys. At least 15 points in there.
I feel that's almost a BM replay at that point of the game. It's like, just don't show it. Like, he died, we'll leave
just
it
accept
to
that
mystery.
fact.
I cannot comprehend that.
I hope someone asked him about that. That was beautiful.
Oh man, so let's take a step back as honestly we've had a lot of action over the last 17 minutes. 4-6 in kills, the mid turret is about to go down, making it a second for OPL as Latam tried to mount a defense. It's not going to happen here, but 4 towers have gone over to Latam just off the back of multiple good fights, good skirmishes, a good rotation in top lane has resulted in another turret in that top area. And Carbon now looking to clear out these wards, encroach the vision on the Latam side. But this game literally still up in the air.
Yeah, it certainly is. And one thing I do want to take a look at is Melfight is so good at shutting down all the AD and attack speed on Latam's lineup, but it's Saya that has really gotten going. He has 500 gold more on this map than anyone else, 2,000 more than Choose in the mid lane. So all of a sudden the cannon that Melfight would be like, I can just ignore him, make sure that I build up my armor and a little bit of HP, now is a legitimate threat to that tanky top laner.
Yeah, and so is everybody else. Helios got that Gunblade completed, BF Sword and another Zeal for White Lotus, so he's got attack damage to back up what we're anticipating as a rapid fire cannon. You need to go Eye-Edge or cannon second. I mean, Latam they've got damage for days, they've got frontline, they've got CC. OPL needs a miracle team fight to close this gap. Yes, there is opportunities and possibilities, but I just feel that Latam, they're taking complete control. This bottom quadrant no longer belongs to the Oceania team. Yeah,
but they also need to be a little bit careful because Oceania has started to group up and roam, and that teleport channel time all Choose.
Uh-oh, this is not a place you want to be. Throws out the shield there and has to flash away. That's a big summon the spell for the carry of the team. Radiant will have to pick up the slack here, 2-1 and 0. OPL moving towards this bottom lane, and Helios is destroying these minions. Also picked up the Hextech Gunblade, by the way, so literally getting all of that hybrid damage out.
I like this. Teleport is available. Ryu does not have it for a few more seconds, so Ryu has to be with the team to try to defend. This is Latam doing what they didn't really do very effectively yesterday. 20 minutes in, split push on an inhibitor turret. This is great growth. Egypt's in trouble.
Yeah, jump on there by Fire. He will be repelling up, but he's been CC'd in place. Carbon wants the kill. It's not enough. And once again, Fire actually triggered.
He didn't even auto-attack him first. He just booted him in the head. It wasn't enough. Thyak flies away to safety. Thank you for that, mate. And Radier, who was exhausted, can't get anything done.
Carbon's face.
Yeah.
There was facepalm at first and a chuckle to follow. Carbon totally knowing, you know, this is one of those games just like, it's just not with you.
Yeah, that's twice that Thyak has lived on single-digit health, and Carbon's just been like, it's not my day.
As the Oceanic representative of the desk at the moment, do you call #luck?
No, definitely not. That's a complete miscalculation. Carbon should have auto-attacked him first. There's pretty much no excuse not to in that part of the game. So, yeah, definitely not luck. That's just a little bit of a misplay from the Oceanic jungler.
Yeah, but
the first one was complete luck, by the way. That was 17 HP. That one, with red buff, with all the things going on, that is complete luck. That one right there is a misplay. Carbon played the first gank very well.
It's the Keystone Masteries, man. Literally the difference between life and death. And Fire actually turning to Spiderfall.
Look at all those gold.
Just in time. Look at all that gold, clearing out the minion waves. So, a bunch of big items have been completed. I love this item build from White Lotus. Once again, it is the rapid fire cannon with the static shiv. The synergy with those two items is so good.
I also really like the addition of the BF sword into the middle. So you have a little bit of additional AD to back up all the rest of the damage, and it's just working wonders for White Lotus. A real big threat. Also helps with taking down those towers somewhat quicker, but we got a giant standoff in this middle lane. Latam do not have Sail with them. He's pushing on the top lane, so if a fight were to break out, a lot of that gold advantage shrinks because it is sitting in Saya's hands.
And Oceania is pinging out one ward that they had behind them for Ryu to potentially come into the fight and try and impact it. They've pulled out the dragon. Saya not the best turret pusher. So there is a window right now for Oceania to make a play. They're not going to.
They are not. And
Wow.
Dragon is being taken down, actually deciding better of it as OPL do decide to try and contest. The
Saya's
Dragon
coming
is
across.
resetting. And Saya looking for the flank. He's not actually going to dive right in there. There is a lot of warding coverage in from both sides. Latam going to take away this Dragon.
I think the flanking Saya could be game-changing as well. If he manages to get off the hourglass before being CC'd, the threat that Slicing Maelstrom will bring to this side lane will buy, again, freedom for Helio and White Lotus to move around and to figure out who they want to take out. Latam are looking really good. We're only 22 minutes in, and OPL are defending their inhibitor turrets on multiple lanes.
But this is a rate of the game we expected coming into the tournament with how weak turrets are. Choo-Choo's caught out. He'll be okay.
I'll say, maybe less okay. He's taking a lot of damage in from Raider. He may even have to ult here. Remember, those living artillery do more damage the lower you go, up to triple when you're below 25% HP. And Arce was definitely below 25% HP.
That was the first time that the Oceanic region got something good going and didn't just hard commit. That is a team fight that you would expect them to just 100% engage on. Maybe after the play in the bottom lane where Carbon went a little bit too deep, they have decided to just scale this one up. And honestly, with how quickly Jax is split pushing these waves and collecting farm, I don't know if it is the right decision still, because that was certainly a window of opportunity.
Yeah, I do wonder what happens if Latam just decide, all right, guys, we're going to 1-3-1. We're going to send Vayne bot lane, we're going to send a Helio top lane. Who deals with those two threats from OPL? You have Ryu for one of them, and then what? Choo-Choo's is not going to win against either of those matchups. Raider, you need with the rest of the team.
Oh, they got...
And we've seen before, Carbon can't do it. Ryu jumps in. Right, Lotus dropping low, but he's got the kite going. And Ryu cannot follow anymore. Helio jumps into the fight, immediately exhausted down. And Choo-Choo's, he will be the first casualty of the fight. Fire, trying to get into the back lines, already used the repel. And Helio jumps in the back line. This is actually disgusting. Picks up the triple kill, a 5-4-0.
And this is exactly what we were talking about. It looks fantastic, but there are just so many different ways for Latin America to play these team fights. The teleport, the flank comes in, and all of a sudden, they completely wipe the floor of the Oceanic region. They're going to get Baron, and now that is a 10,000 gold lead.
Incredible play from the Latin American team, and just great growth from day one to day two. And Spawn, like you were saying just before the fight broke out, this is exactly what we were anticipating. Now, the real test for any team is how they're going to close this game out. With Baron buff, with split push threat in a 1-3-1, Latam can really just look to shove down those exposed inhibitors.
And this started perfectly. Big Malphite ult. Radiant once again gets exhausted though, and as soon as Helio and Saya arrive in this team fight, it's completely over. Even with Saya getting kicked out, there is just not enough to keep the Kog'Maw safe. You can see they just all pile in, and he's never comfortable to set up and do all that damage.
Choo-Choo's didn't even get his ultimate off, simply not really finding the opportunity, holding the trigger finger, and it may have cost them.
What I really loved in that team fight was while Helio was exhausted, he didn't take the time to ult back, holding that fort because we have another team fight. Choo-Choo's dropping low, Repel comes up, looking for the execute, will jump over the wall, side steps, the predictive Q coming out from Fayak, on point in this game, and Raider, he's on the front lines, and that is not a place that Kog'Maw really wants to be.
Carbon,
and White
you have
Lotus will
ultimate.
pick up the
Help
kill.
your AD
Helio
carry.
gets the stun onto Ryu as well, make that a double kill for White Lotus. Everyone to carry on this team from Latam.
White Lotus does so well mechanically in like 95%, but just eats the point-blank talk behind
We call that good hands in cricket. Put him in the slips. Good hands.
There's so few people that understand that reference right now.
Hey, we're in Australia. Everyone understands that.
I love that. Latam break open the base of the OPL. Punishing Radier for the front line. Yamato Cannon, I cannot wait to hear your analysis of this Kog'Maw for the second time.
Clown Fiesta.
Hey, to Radier's credit, this game has actually, I feel that the mid-focus strategy coming out of the OPL region, I understand why they did it. Choo-Choo's Carbon, both the same team, they would be very comfortable ganking for each other, but as soon as that cannon was locked in, the window just closed before the game even began. So probably not on the Kog'Maw this time around. More of a micro decision at the start of the game where they were sending their players.
And almost macro as well, just in terms of their approach to the entire game, because after that first gank didn't fail and Ryu lost his flash, Carbon did not offer support to that Malphite, did not offer a tool to counter some of this 1-3-1 split push threat that Latam could put forward.
But it's just not understanding the matchup that Kennen brings into the mid lane, right? They think with the kick, this is such an easy level 6 gank, but as soon as Kennen hits that ultimate and 2 people go inside him, you just can never get it off. It's just not understanding what Kennen actually does to Yasuo.
There were very few tools for OPL to use, but they did not really use any of them to the right effect. That's kind of this game in a nutshell.
I absolutely love that Latam with Baron are now grouping as 5, saying we dare you to fight because we know that we'll win. 12,000 gold lead, Baron empowered minions, Baron stats is about to wear off, unfortunately, and now Latam are starting to peel away. OPL didn't take the bait and look for the engage, but again, smart, heads up, good calls from Latam. They're playing the map correctly. I think the top wave should be pushing towards OPL. We can take a quick look there on our PC and double check, because if they can start a slow push, that would be another opportunity. Helio is moving his way up because it is actually going against them. So even there, let's stop the siege, let's get the map in all lanes, and then look to pressure more.
Yeah, and this is what we said about the Latin American lineup. Their early game looked rusty, but their team fight and late game decision-making actually looked very good. This game, OPL didn't push them whatsoever. In fact, the repetitive ganks into the mid lane played into their hands. So if this is a continued trend, if they can play the mid-game team fighting stage of the game, we've already seen how quickly turrets melt. One team fight means you gain complete control of the map.
Yeah, such a big deal in this game. It just snowballs out of control. The amount you get in local gold, we were talking about this yesterday, is so much. You pick up a kill on a tower, you get over a double kill worth of gold. And that is so crushing for your opponent, especially when you're trying to contain something like a Jax. Especially when you're going up against Vayne, who has this item build now, which we were talking about yesterday again, smooths out the power curve so nicely. There's no windows, really, you can deal with this for OPL. The silver lining, I guess, now is they have this triple item Cogmore. Whether they can protect him is another question entirely.
Yeah, what they're hoping is that someone goes deep and it's not RC tanking the turret. If that happens, there is like a 1 in 1,000 chance that they still take a team fight here, but they need to be so careful.
Can I just say how good EGM has been landing at bindings this game? Like, over and over again. Okay, you can debate maybe it's because not good at dodging. That's the other
I do feel there is like 65% EGM, 35% Thyak, and White Lotus not caring on some of them. But I do agree. I think EGM has had some great play.
There he goes again.
Flash Dark Binding connects. He is in trouble. The last breath was not used. There's a teleport from Helio. He's coming in from behind. And White Lotus is still alive.
The fight is being literally split up as Seiya comes in with a slicing maelstrom. That's already 2 kills over to Latam. Helio has joined the fight, and Helio picks up the double. He's looking for the triple, and he will get it himself. Carbon is left to limp away back to his base, and he's the sole survivor. This looks like the end of the game. The curtains are falling for OPL.
Yeah, it certainly does look to be that way. See if Carbon can defend the Nexus turrets. One does go down.
And Latam taking the second Nexus turret. This will indeed be the game. And with spectacular adaptation from day one, Latam secure the win, take out Carbon, and take out OPL.
There's not really much more to say. It was a desperation team fight in the end. The Oceanic lineup really did throw everything in there. They managed to get the 2 carries, but Helio in the top lane on this Jax, 8-0-4. Changed up the item build and went absolutely massive.
And you have to go all the way back to pick some bans. OPL locked themselves into a team composition with an incredibly limited margin for error. They banned away a Rammus and an Evelyn while leaving Jax up. I'll allow the Tom Kench because that champ is ridiculous, but I don't really understand the threat from this Rammus. Is it really a bigger fear than the Elise, than the Jax? Those are champions that we've seen time and time again, and that Latam have even used.
And the other thing is, we know that Helio and White Lotus both like